Good morning to one and all. This is G. Prathyusha, Department of Commerce, TTWRDC Women JANGAON. As a part of its teacher online lecture, today I am going to present here business law. Okay, so in this, our content is business law and the source of business law, Indian Contract Act 1872, and essentials of a valid contract and types of a contract we will discuss here. And in that, business law, so first of all, the definition of the business law. So all we know that law is nothing but it contains a set of rules and regulations. So here the rules, what is the business law rules will help here means the business law rules which help to regulate and manage. Okay, regulate and manage our business transactions and activities. Okay, regulate and business transactions and the activities. And next, it also has a direct relationship. It has as a direct relationship with the industry, trade and commerce. How it is means, like if an insurance is there, it is with the insurance companies there must be there is an one insurance act, and like for companies also there is an companies act. And in the same way here we have the Indian Contract Act. Okay, Indian Contract Act. Why this Indian Contract Act and why it is helpful to the business means, if we do any contracts with the other persons, like if we do any transactions with our other business persons, in that we have the uh, one obligation, we have one obligation that how to how to create and contract with the person and how it is will be enforceable by the law. Okay, so here first of all the business law also known as an mercantile law. Okay, mercantile law. Why? Because it is dealing with the it helps, already we discussed here, it helps in the business transactions. Okay, to regulate the business transactions already we said. So that's why it is also known as a mercantile. Mercantile is nothing but trading. So mercantile law. So how the what are the sources of mercantile law in India? Okay. So the sources for first of all, this mercantile law is taken from the English mercantile law. Okay, English mercantile law, and next Indian status law and judicial decisions, customs and usages. So while considering all these points, the data has been collected in the Indian Contract Act. Okay, and here for first Indian Contract Act, when the Indian Contract Act was came into force. So the first of all it was enacted in 25th March, sorry, 25th April 1872. Okay, the date enacted by the Indian Contract is 25th April 1872, and the date of commencement nothing but it is enforceable into the act the 1st September 1872, and it has a total sections 238, and also here it is extended to the all over the India. Okay, all the states of the India except Jammu and Kashmir, in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and it is enacted by the Parliament of India. So when where it is passed means the Parliament of India. Okay, and here there are some general principles, section 1 to 75 of the act are general principles, and then after we'll have some special kinds of contracts like sales of goods act, and also we have the like indemnity. Okay, like indemnity and bailment, like these are special kinds of contracts. And also we have the contract of partnership, as all we know that like commerce students all are know that the Partnership Act was 1932. So in that also they have some sections, section 239 to 266, till there is some contract of partnership sections. Okay, but here we'll consider here in the Indian Contract Act from section 1 to 75. Okay, and next here the contract definition. Okay, so first of all we are going here the with the contract definition that Contract is nothing but an agreement. Okay, an agreement which is legally enforceable alone is a contract. Which is legally enforceable alone is a contract. And according to the Indian Contract Act, section 2 of H, okay, section 2 of H defines that a contract is nothing but an agreement which is enforceable by law. Which is enforceable by law is a contract. So here we are taking the two words, that is, one is agreement and the second word is enforceability by law. So before going that, what is an agreement and what is an enforceability? Okay, here we are discussing the main part. The main point is the enforceability. Okay, so before going to that, agreement. Okay, agreement is nothing but, here you can see that offer or proposal acceptance is a promise antonym. Okay, offer plus acceptance is equal to promise. Remind this, and later we will discuss about this. And here you can see the definition of the agreement. Definition of the agreement. So here agreement definition is nothing but, according to section 2 of E of the Indian Contract Act, every promise or every set of promises forming consideration for each other is an agreement. Forming consideration for each other is an agreement. Okay, so here agreement is nothing but, we are discussing here every promise and every set of promises, either maybe one promise or maybe more than one promises, they are forming with each other with an consideration. With an consideration. So here again question arises, what is an consideration? Okay, what is an consideration? So for all these we will have the definition. So according to the section 2 of D of the Indian Contract Act, consideration is nothing but when at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing something, or does or abstains from doing something, or promises to do or abstain from doing something. Such an act or abstinence or promise is called a consideration for the promise. So here is nothing but desire of the promiser. So promiser wants, and according to the promiser point of view, the promisee or any other person, either maybe the promisee or any other person has done in the past. Okay, he did something in the past and he is doing in the present, or he may do in the future. Okay, so whatever it may be, either it may be to do something or not to do something, whatever it may be, the person has done something, he has to pay something for the that act done. Okay, whatever the act done by the other person, he has to pay something, that is an consideration. Okay, so here agreement and along with the consideration, so contract is nothing but agreement and also consideration, then only it becomes an contract. Okay, so here you can see the promise plus consideration. So you can see here the slide is promise plus consideration is equal to agreement. Okay, promise plus consideration is equal to agreement. And before going the agreement, we will first of all we'll go here. First of all, what is an promise? What is an promise? Promise is nothing but one offer or proposal plus acceptance. When the offer and acceptance both are came into existence, then it becomes a promise. Okay, so here offer, what is an offer, then what is an acceptance, and what is an promise, who is the promiser and promisee. In the as now we discussed that promiser promisee. Okay, then who are the promiser and who is the promisee and who is the promiser? So here you can see first of all the offer or the proposal. So according to section 2 of A of the Indian Contract Act, when one person signifies to another, okay, when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of the other person, either to such an act or obstinance, he is said to make a proposal. For example, I'm giving here one example that there are two persons that are there. One is A and one is B. So here A is offering to B that I want to sell my car to you. I want to sell my car to you. So here A is giving an offer or proposal. Okay. So here A is giving an either offer or proposal. He is signifying. Signifying is nothing but whatever he is want to do. He is uh, he is telling to the B. Okay, he is telling to the B. Why he is telling to the B means if B wants to buy the car, he will automatically gives an acceptance. So in that view, he is thinking that B and in that view he is thinking that he wants the A wants the acceptance from the B. That's why he is telling an offer. Okay, so that is the definition of the offer. And next, acceptance. So acceptance is defined according to the section 2 of B of the Indian Contract Act, says that when the person to whom the proposal is made, okay, when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. A proposal is said to be accepted. So with whom we said that offer or with whom we said that proposal, he has to, and I mean means he signifies his assent. Signifies his assent. Assent is nothing but either he wants that offer or he wants to reject that offer. Whatever it may be, he has to give an acceptance to the proposal. So in the previous example we discussed, A is giving an offer to the B. If B wants to buy that car, then automatically B will give an acceptance to the A. So here the whatever the B is telling to the A, that is an acceptance. That means he wants to buy the car, no, so that is an acceptance for the A's offer. So here offer is made and acceptance also done, then automatically it becomes an promise. It becomes an promise when the offer and the acceptance becomes, and I mean simple words, when an offer is accepted it becomes a promise. Okay, when an offer is accepted it becomes a promise. Here the question is, who is the promiser and who is the promisee? So promiser is nothing but when the person making the proposal, okay, the person who is making the proposal is he is called as an promiser. Okay, when the proposal who is making the proposal is called as an promiser, and the person who is accepting the proposal is called as a promisee. Okay, promiser is nothing but the person who is giving an offer, and the promisee is nothing but who is giving an acceptance, is a promisee. Okay, promiser and the promisee. And here we already discussed that promise plus consideration is equal to an agreement. And here, and come to our contract definition, that contract is nothing but agreement which is enforceable by law. Okay, so already we discussed agreement is completed, and next enforceability. Okay, agreement is completed, and next enforceability. So you can see here the equation is agreement enforceability by law is equal to a contract. Okay, when the agreement is enforceable, then only it becomes an contract. And you can see here the definition defines according to section 2 of H, an agreement which is enforceable by law is a contract. Okay, and here you can go this this type that promise consideration agreement. Promise plus consideration is equal to agreement. And agreement, when the agreement is legally enforceable, that becomes a either maybe a contract or maybe a viable contract. Okay, so you can see with this ladder table that promise plus consideration is equal to an agreement, and when the agreement is legally enforceable, then that becomes an contract, and I mean valid contract or maybe a voidable agreement. When the agreement is legally not enforceable, then you can see here the red mark symbol there, void agreement. Okay, when the agreement is legally not enforceable, that becomes an void agreement. Okay, and here you can see the essentials. Then how the agreement becomes an enforceability means, with these essentials of a valid contract, the agreement become a valid contract. Okay, so before going to that, according to the section 10 of the Indian Contract Act, we have one statement. Okay, we have one statement that all the agreements are con if all the agreements are contract if they are made by free consent of the parties competent to contract for a lawful consideration and with a lawful object, and not hereby expressly declares to be void. Okay, so these are the what are the essentials of a valid contract. So with this statement we can see that here essentials of a valid contract. So here the first essential is an, and here we have the 10 essentials, and these are very important while making a contract with the other persons in a business or in a trading. So here the first essential is offer and acceptance, and the second one is legal relationship, consensus ad item, and next one is free consent, capacity or competence of parties, lawful object, lawful consideration, certainty and possibility of performance, agreements not declared to be void, and legal formalities. So these are the 10 essentials of a valid contract. And here we can see here the first. Okay, we'll discuss here deeply widely about these essentials of a valid contract. The first one is offer and acceptance. Okay, offer and acceptance. So while making a contract, while making a valid contract, okay, not only a contract, while making a valid contract, there must be an agreement between the two parties. There must be an agreement between the two parties, and an agreement involves a valid offer. An agreement involves a valid offer by one party and valid acceptance by some other party. Some other means the who is the second party in that contract. Okay, so here remember that when while creating an valid contract, there must be an agreement. Okay, in that agreement there must be an valid offer and a valid acceptance. Okay, then only it becomes a valid contract. Okay, and the second one is the second essential is intention to create a legal relationship. So who are the parties entering into a contract? There must have an intention to create a legal relationship between the parties. So legal relationship means here we also have the social relationship, like if any person giving an offer to marry another person. Okay, if any person is giving an offer to marry another person, so this is not an legal obligation, it is an social obligation. Why? Because there is no intention to create the legal relationship between the parties. Why? Because they won't create any either any written document or any oral whatever it may be, whatever the terms and conditions, they won't accept that. That's why that is an social relationship. So here the parties must have an intention to create the legal relationship. Okay, and here we also the case laws, that Belfour versus Belfour. So this is about the wife and husband case law. And here and next one is consensus add item. Consensus add item is nothing but matching of the minds. Okay, matching of the minds. So matching of the minds, what is matching of the minds means the minds of the both the parties must be added. Here both the parties are nothing but those two who are entering into a contract. Okay, in other words, there must be in other words, the two parties must have agreed about the subject matter of the contract at the same time and in the same sense. same time and the same sense in the nothing but in the past example we discussed that A wants to sell his car to B and B wants to buy the car of A, but here A has a two cars, okay, two cars, one is red car and another one is blue car, okay, red car and another one is blue car, but here A wants to sell his red car to B, but here B is accepting his offer for the blue car, but they don't have the matching of the minds, okay, they don't have the matching of the minds. So that's why in the previous only we discussed that offer and acceptance must be an clear one, okay, must be an clear one. While saying an offer or proposal, the person A has to give and define it clear offer to the B, and the acceptance of the acceptance from B also it should be clear and not an vague, okay. And here the next essential is free consent. Free consent. So free consent is nothing but an agreement must have been made by free consent of the parties, and when it is said to be free means when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation or mistake, okay. When the consent is not caused by the coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation or mistake, then it is known as an free consent. So here what is an coercion and what is an undue influence, mistake or misrepresentation or fraud, okay. So fraud already as we know that fraud is nothing but if we are cheating another person to enter into a contract, that is a fraudulent act. And next coercion is nothing but we are giving an physical force to the person, physical force to the person to enter into a contract, like threatening to suicide. Threatening to suicide is an coercion, okay. For example, if B is not willing to enter into a contract with A wants to uh, A is threatening B to kill the C, the person who is the relative of B, okay. So here by influencing the coercion, here the B is entered into a contract. So that is an that is not an free consent. Then the contract becomes a void one, okay. And next and the next one is undue influence. Undue influence in the same sense it is an mental force, okay. That if coercion is a physical force and this is a mental force. Mental force is nothing but for example if the who will do this undue influence means the parties who is having the uh, a relationship, I mean near relationship in the sense like doctor and a patient. If patient is not giving any property to doctor, doctor is blackmailing to a patient that I will give not an I will give not a proper medicine to you. Then automatically patient enter into a contract with the doctor. So that is an undue influence. So like in the same way like misrepresentation and the mistake and the fraud. So if the contracts are entered with this coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation or mistake, then it is not an free consent. Then it automatically the contract or the agreement becomes a void one. Okay, not an valid one. And next one is capacity. So here capacity is nothing but the parties who are entering into a contract, okay. Here in the previous example we discussed that A and B are there now. So those parties having the capacity to enter into a contract. What is an capacity means according to section 11 of the Indian Contract Act, every person is competent to contract. Every person is competent to contract, but who is of the age of majority and who is of sound mind and who is not disqualified from law. So these are the persons can enter into a contract. Majority is nothing but the person who attains the age of 18 years, he can enter into a contract. And who is of sound mind. Sound mind is nothing but the person who is not of unsound mind, means who can able to understand the terms and conditions of the contract, he is an sound mind, he can enter into a contract. And next, who is not disqualified from contracting law, like any victims or any persons who are in the imprisonment, they are not an qualified persons, okay, so they cannot enter into a contract. So this is the capacity to contract. The persons who are having the majority and who is of sound mind and who is not disqualified from law, they can enter into a contract. And if any person is incompetent to contract, either if we done any contract with them, that is an void contract, okay. And next, lawful object. So here object is nothing but whatever the act we are doing here, that must be an lawful one, okay, that must be an lawful one. So lawful one is nothing but which is not forbidden by the law. And next, sorry, which is what are the unlawful act means, which is forbidden by the law. And next, which is of such nature that which would defeat the other persons, okay, which would defeat the other persons. And if any fraudulent act or involves injuries to the any other persons. And next, which is an immoral act, okay, which is an immoral act. For example, if uh, if any two persons are taking a contract to kill the other persons, okay, so that is not an moral act or not an legal act. Why? Because it is defeating the other persons, okay, defeating the other person. So in the same way, if it is an forbidden by law, if it is anything is forbidden by law, no one can defeat the law. So if like any such fraudulent acts are done, so those are illegal or unlawful act. So whatever the acts are done, that must be an lawful object, so then only it becomes a valid contract. And the next essential element is lawful consideration. So in the previous we discussed a little more about the consideration. So consideration is nothing but the desire of the promiser. So according to the promiser, whatever the promisee or any other person has done in the future, sorry, in the past, present, or maybe a future. So for that they has to pay something, money, okay. So here the consideration, we have the Latin word that quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. So quid pro quo is nothing but something in return. In the previous example we discussed that A wants to sell his car to B. So B is accepting that offer and he is buying that car. So here A is getting an money from the B, okay, so that is consideration to the A. And B is getting an car from the A, so here B is also getting the consideration of car. So either it may be an money or maybe something goods or whatever it may be, but something in return should be there to the two parties, then only it is an lawful consideration, okay. And a consideration must not be unlawful, okay. So remember the thing, the consideration must not be an unlawful, it must be an lawful one. And unlawful, immoral, or opposed to the public policy. So if any of these are made, like any unlawful act or immoral or opposed to the public policy, then automatically it becomes an un- unlawful consideration, then automatically the contract becomes an void one, okay. So this is the lawful consideration. And the next essential is not expressly declared to be void. So from the beginning only the agreement should not be expressly declared to be an void one. For example, we entered with an agreement with an minor, okay, we entered an agreement with an minor. So in the starting itself it says that the minor agreement with a minor is an void one. So it is declaring that it is an void act, so that's why the void agreement. So it should not be declared that one void agreement from the beginning only. And the next one is possibility of performance. So whatever the actor here doing is, that must be an possible to perform to the by the parties, possible to perform by the parties. In the for example, I will discuss one example here, that A and B both are entered into a contract that A A is putting an life to the dead body. Okay, putting an life to the dead body. For that, B has to pay 1,000 rupees. Okay, so here A is giving an offer that those who died, those B's relative C died. For him, he will give an life. Okay, life to C. Then B has to pay 1,000 rupees. So if is it possible to a dead body to again live? So that is not possible. So that's why that is an impossible act. So these impossible acts are expressly said to ban void agreements. Okay, and the last one is necessary legal formalities. And here necessary legal formalities is nothing but every contract is must fulfill the legal formalities, that either may be an oral or maybe an written documents, whatever it may be, it must create an legal formalities, then only it becomes a valid one. Okay, valid one. So these are the 10 essentials of a valid contract. Okay, and next so this is an review about the essentials of a valid contract, so you can see here. And next topic is types of contract. How many types of the contract? So here there are four bases are there. Types of contract, there are four bases. The first one is on the basis of the creation. The types of contract is divided on the basis of creation or formation, or on the basis of validity, or on the basis of execution, on the basis of liabilities. Okay, and first here we are going that on the basis of the creation. So on the basis of the creation there are four types. One is express contract and implied contract, tacit, and next one is quasi contracts. The first one is express contract. So express contract is nothing but where the terms of the contract, are expressly agreed upon in words, either maybe an oral or oral or written at the time of formation. So when we are entering into a contract, either we sent any post letter to the promisee. Okay, either we are directly connected with the phone call. So, okay, so either maybe an oral or maybe an written, whatever it may be, the contract was made by in the formation, at the time of the formation. How it is made, either maybe an oral or written, then it is known as an express contract. Okay, and the second one is implied contract. So implied contract is nothing but implied contract must come into existence by the implication. Implication is nothing but like we will discuss here that I will discuss here one example that for example a bus has uh, came into the bus stop. Okay, the passengers are waiting for the bus and the bus has came into the bus stop. The passengers are boarding the bus. Why? Because the here the bus is giving an offer by impliedly it is giving an offer by the conductor of the parties. He impliedly giving an offer that the bus will goes to some other place like Secunderabad. Okay, so the bus will goes to Secunderabad. Then who wants to go the destination, they will go and boarding at the bus. So they are the passengers are giving an acceptance and the bus is given by the offer. So this is an implied contract, and simply we can say that by the conduct of the parties the implied contracts are made. And next one is tacit contracts. So tacit contracts are nothing but by the inferred through the conduct of the parties, by the behavior of the parties the contracts are made. So this is an tacit contract. Okay, and quasi contract. So quasi contract is nothing but the persons or the parties are not having an interest to enter into a contract, but by the legal obligation, it is an legal obligation which is imposed by who is required to perform. Okay, who is required to perform. So the persons are enforced, okay, enforced by the law, enforced by the law only. They will, for example, uh, we are giving an acceptance like if we went on the road, okay, we are walking on the road, while we are walking on the road, definitely we will go on the left side of the road. Why? Because that is enacted by the law, so we are going to follow that. So that is like the, that is an quasi contracts, okay, that is an example for the quasi contracts. And next, on the basis of validity. So on the basis of the validity, there are five types are there. One is void contract. Sorry, valid contract. The valid contract is nothing but an agreement which has all the essential elements of a contract. It is a valid contract. So in the previous only we discussed that the agreement which satisfy the offer and valid offer and acceptance, lawful consideration, legal object, and next legal formalities, so and so up to 10 we have, no. So an agreement which satisfy all those 10 essentials, then it is called as an valid contract, okay. And next, void contract. So void contract is nothing but a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law becomes void when it ceases to be enforceable. Thus a void contract is one which cannot be enforceable by law. So in the previous only we discussed that void contract means the agreement which is not enforceable by law, okay. A contract which ceases to be enforceable by law, while framing an agreement, it is a valid one. But coming to after the, like if he fails to the capacity to the parties, like free consent, whatever it may be, when it is ceases to be enforceable, then it is becomes an void contract. And next, voidable contract. So voidable contract is nothing but it is defined according to section 2 of I. It defines an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of the one or more of the parties, but not at the option of the one or others, is voidable contracts. So we discussed that coercion, undue influence, or mistake or misrepresentation, whatever it may be, like if any person is done fraud in the two parties of a contract, one person is done a fraud, okay, and other one is an innocent one, then the innocent one has the option that he can he has a voidable option that he may continue the contract or he may not continue the contract. So that is an voidable contract, okay. And next, unenforceable contracts. So unenforceable contract is nothing but due to the substance, or because of the some technical defect, it cannot be enforced, the contract cannot be enforced due to the technical defect. So that is an unenforceable contract. And the next to last one is illegal contracts. So illegal contracts is nothing but contracts though which are forbidden by the laws, okay. So which are forbidden by the law. So according to the law, uh, like a doing a crime, okay, doing a crime is an forbidden by law. If anything is done in the contract law which is forbidden by the law, then it is an illegal contracts, okay. And all illegal contracts are hence void, okay, all illegal contracts are void. So here we have one statement that all illegal agreements are void agreements. All illegal agreements are void agreements, but all void agreements are not illegal, okay. All illegal agreements are the void one, okay, but all void agreements are not illegal one. And next one is on the basis of the execution. So executed contract and executory contracts, okay, we have two types on the basis of the execution. So while we are implementing the contract, there are two types. One is executed and executory. Executed is nothing but the parties, both the parties have performed their obligations, okay. Here A wants to sell his car and B wants to buy the car, no. So here A sold the car and B bought that car from A. So here both the parties have done their obligations. So this is an executed contract, okay. And next, executory contract. Executory is nothing but an contract. This is an future contract, okay. We can also it called as an future contract, and executed is nothing but past contract. Okay, executory is nothing but both the parties have to fulfill their obligation, have to perform their obligation. This is an executory contracts. Like in the future they will be performed, like an agreement to sell. Okay, agreement to sell means if we gave some order to any person, he will deliver the goods in the future date. So that is an agreement to sell. So that agreement to sell is an best example for the executory contract. And next, on the basis of the liability, so here there are two types. One is unilateral contract and the second one is a bilateral contracts. A unilateral contract is one in which only one party has to perform his obligation. Okay, one party has to perform his obligation at the time of formation of the contract, and the other party having fulfilled his obligation at the time of the contract or before the contract comes to existence. So for the past whatever the act done in the past, we are we will pay some amount in the future. So here in the future, the only one party is giving an one party is doing his obligation, but other party has already done before the contract has came into existence. So this is an unilateral contract. And the bilateral contract is nothing but in which the both the parties to the contract is outstanding at the time at the formation of the contract. Like executory contract, bilateral contract is nothing but the both the parties has to perform their obligations. So this is an bilateral contract. So this is about my presentation about the business law, Indian Contract Act, and essentials of a valid contract. And next, types of the contract. Thank you one and all, and have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe.